Hello and welcome to the Universal Heart Book Club. I'm Walter Mason and this
is Stephanie Dowrick.
Hello Stephanie.
Hello Walter.
Nice to be with you today, and today we've got some fascinating books to talk about. And I'll first introduce my book, which is The Divinity of Dogs. When I saw this book I was so excited because, possibly quite emotionally, I've got a very old dog and I've loved her so much, and she's in her final days, and I spend a lot of my time caring for her actually. So dogs are much in my heart at the moment. And I saw this book by Jennifer Skiff, and it's a collection of stories of people and their dogs and the connections between them. They're real stories, the stories that people have sent in, and it's just amazing. It's the sort of book that would soothe any dog lover's soul, because it just shows how special that connection is between dog and human. A lot of the stories in this book are about rescue dogs, but every single story is about the incredible and unlikely connections that people make with their pets. Have you ever had a dog, Stephanie?
No, I'm a cat person.
You're a cat person,
but
yeah.
I want to know, would this book interest people who haven't had dogs and who are not dog people?
Look, absolutely it would, because it's about connecting with someone or something special. It's that communion of souls that we all ache for.
Yeah.
And people do feel it so strongly with their pets, and I think we undervalue that in our culture. Yeah. And this is a book which really brings that respect back to this relationship between human and animal, and it's so moving. And I've got to say that it's a tearjerker. Every 12th page I was just in tears, because the stories are so beautiful and so moving.
So it's about rescue humans more than rescue dogs.
Absolutely, yeah. And just how much dogs, there are so many stories in this about dogs saving people's lives.
Yeah.
At really pivotal moments, and of dogs caring for people, and of dogs knowing when someone is upset or something terrible has happened in their lives. It's a real balm actually. It's such a wonderful read.
I wonder if somebody will follow it up with The Divinity of Cats, because cats can also, they can seem to be rather indifferent at times, but they can also tune themselves in very subtle ways to the needs of people, especially when their owners are vulnerable, through illness or near to death or whatever. I mean, it is absolutely extraordinary, because they're kind of radiating at a level other than the cognitive, and I assume it's the true of the dogs?
Absolutely. Well, Stephanie, I'm a dog and a cat person, and at one point in my life I had 3 cats and a dog in my life, and I can tell you that when I was ill, all of them would be sitting on my bed when I woke up in the morning. They knew that I was in need.
So they were communing with one another as well as with you.
Absolutely.
And that's mainly what this book is about, the communing?
It is, yeah. I mean, it's a spiritual book in so many ways, because it's about something, as you said, it's something that's greater than just a simple relationship between person and dog, woman and dog, man and dog. It's about this meeting of souls and what it might mean. Yeah, it's so inspiring and very emotional.
Well, I look forward to reading it, and actually there are a number of dog people in my life who I know would absolutely love it, so I will get The Divinity of Dogs. Now, Walter, and those of you who are listening, I have 2 books this month, because in a rather unexpected way they seem to fit together, and both of them are quite exceptional books. The first is Anne Deveson's Waging Peace. Now, Anne Deveson is one of the wise women of our society.
Absolutely.
She's been writing for many years, she's been a human rights activist for decades, and what she has to say is always worth hearing and reading. And this is a very particular kind of a memoir, because in it Anne is reflecting on her social activism and her deep, positive and affirming engagement with all kinds of peace issues, including understanding and going firsthand into the horrors of war. The way that she writes about those experiences does not distance you. I really need to emphasize that. It doesn't distance you, but it really, nevertheless, brings it home to us that peacemaking is our primary challenge at this time. I mean, it is completely ridiculous that we would be living in a global world and still not know how to deal with conflict intelligently and live in peace alongside one another. It's outrageous that we don't know this. And I think that Anne's book will be of interest to many people at very different stages of their of their own inner journey and development. I think you've read this one.
I have read it, yes.
What did you think?
I was so fascinated by it. I was really moved by it. I thought she's such an icon, and
Yes.
as a memoir it works beautifully as well. I was so interested in her life.
Yes, yes, I was very interested in it. And of course, when somebody presents these ideas in a memoir form, it means that they're much more accessible. You're not, wading through a whole lot of abstractions. You're actually living those experiences. And she writes beautifully. I mean, it's a very fluently written book, and I really recommend it very highly. The second of my books for this month, and it's unusual that I would be reviewing two in a single month, but they seem to go together. Now, this is a painful book. It was written out of a tragedy, and it's a painful book, but it is also extraordinarily gripping. In fact, I couldn't stop reading it, which sounds like a cliche, but in this instance was absolutely true. Juliet Darling was the partner of an art curator very well known in the Sydney art scene called Nick Waterlow. And Nick was murdered by his schizophrenic son, Anthony, and the tragedy was compounded because Nick's daughter, Chloe, also died in the same circumstances. And after the deepest reflection on those horrifying events, Juliet Darling has written a book which is not only a tribute to her extraordinary partner, who seems to have been a very intelligent, deeply giving soul, but it's also a cry of outrage that when people are left untreated with very, very serious mental illness and then commit crimes, they are assumed not to have to take responsibility for those crimes. And yet, no one else will take responsibility either for medicating them as they need to be medicated or containing them as they need to be contained. So there's a kind of double loss of responsibility here that is, something that we all need to be thinking about, because what it deprives those people who are nearest to them of is that very basic human right of safety. Both Anne Deveson's and Juliet Darling's books, in very different ways, are about this key issue of the responsibility that we have to one another, not only to make peace, which could mean different things to different people, but also to create a life of safety and trust and acceptance for one another, including acceptance that some people cannot and will not take responsibility for themselves. So these are two extraordinarily powerful books, and I really recommend this one to you, which I think you haven't yet read.
Not yet, no.
And I recommend both of these to those of you who are watching and listening. So I really hope that you enjoy our books for this month, the very different, wonderful range of books that we presented this month. And I really hope you will enjoy our written reviews also. And we thank you for joining us on the Universal Heart Book Club.
Thank you so much.